I've been feeling sick throughout the month on and off. And like many people do, when they're trying to feel better, I started drinking more tea. What I didn't know was these tea bags came with messages attached to them. The first time I read one, it resonated. The second time I read it, it resonated. The third time I started paying closer attention. By the fifth or sixth cup, I knew something was happening. Not because I thought the tea was predicting my future. Not because I thought that these messages were magically for me. But because every single one seemed to reflect something I was already living, learning, or becoming. I even remember sharing some of them with Adam because he knows how much it means to me when I come across something that feels deeply resonant. He knows I pay attention to things that hit a nerve. Because whenever something hits a nerve, I've learned it's worth exploring why. And eventually I realized something. These messages weren't revealing who I needed to become. They were reflecting who I've already become. And that became the significant turn. This was the first T-Tag message. May you create peaceful harmony as your life's purpose. This one immediately made me think about my relationship. Recently, because I've been sick, I felt it would be best for my body if I cut down on smoking. I casually enjoy a blunt here and there. And before bringing it up to Adam, my mind started creating stories. He'll be upset. He won't understand. He won't support my decision. The interesting thing is, Adam never actually really said any of those things. I did. Inside my own head. So instead of carrying the assumptions, I expressed what I was feeling. And the complete opposite happened. He understood. He gave me space. He supported my decision. He didn't make me feel bad about it. And it reminded me that some of the greatest peace I've experienced in my life hasn't come from controlling situations. It's come from communicating honestly. Because sometimes the disruption isn't outside of us. Sometimes it's the story we're carrying inside our own minds. And peace arrives when we're willing to tell that truth. The second message said, relate to your greatness and not to your weakness. This one brought me directly to my relationship with my body. Of all the things I've worked on healing within myself, body image has probably been one of the hardest. I've become very trained at noticing what I don't like, especially on days when I don't feel my best. I can immediately find a flaw, the angle, the feature, the thing I wish looked different, to the point where I can become irritated with my own image. What I realized while reflecting on this message is it wasn't telling me to ignore my weaknesses. It was reminding me not to build my identity around them. Because every weakness I've faced has had the potential to become a strength when I was willing to face the truth. And the truth I've had to face is that my worth isn't waiting on the other side of a perfect body. My worth is already here. So when I read this message, it reminded me I choose on what I focus on. Not because weakness doesn't exist, but because weakness doesn't define who I am. The third message said, master the unknown by knowing your deep self. This one landed hard because one of the biggest unknowns I'm navigating right now is housing and income. I've actually been in better financial situations before. I've made more money before. Yet what's interesting is that even though I had more income, I didn't necessarily have the same drive, purpose, awareness, or relationship with myself that I have now. So while there is uncertainty around housing, money, and what comes next, I don't feel defeated by it. I think that's because I spent years getting to know myself. I am resilient. I am resourceful. I adapt. I can create. I've learned that I can survive difficult seasons and still find meaning within them. The unknown hasn't become easier because I suddenly have all the answers. The unknown feels easier because I trust myself more than I used to. I know my heart. I know my intentions. I know my willingness to keep going. And sometimes that is enough. The fourth message said, celebrate your successes and failures. Both required great courage. This one revealed something I've been learning little by little. Life is balance. Sometimes we win, sometimes we take the L. Sometimes life works wonders in our favor, and sometimes it doesn't. That is a part of the human experience. And while I understand that intellectually, I realize that celebrating myself doesn't always come naturally. For a long time, I've moved from one lesson to the next, one accomplishment to the next, one challenge to the next, without really stopping to acknowledge what I've already made it through. Yet every success required courage. Every failure required courage. Every risk required courage. Every attempt required courage. What this message showed me is that learning to celebrate isn't just about achievement. It's about receiving. Receiving the love. Receiving the support. Receiving the recognition. And that's definitely something I'm still learning, little by little, to allow myself to feel deserving of celebration. The fifth message said, "The world needs your unique gifts. Don't leave with them still inside you." This was the message that brought everything together. Because when I sat with it, I realized my gifts aren't the content I create. The content is simply the vehicle. The real gifts are much deeper than that. My intuition, my emotional intelligence, my wholesome understanding, my ability to unconditionally love and accept human individuality, my ability to see people beyond their mistakes, labels, or circumstances. I've always been fascinated by people, not who they pretend to be. I see right past those parts, but who they truly are, their fears, their strengths, their contradictions, their uniqueness. That is why my content exists. Not to tell people who they should become, but to help them understand who they already are. And maybe that's why this message hit me so deeply. Because I didn't hear pressure. I heard permission. Permission to continue sharing. Permission to continue creating. Permission to trust that my experience have value. Because my truth is no greater than any others. Yet it is no less worthy either. And then came the significant turn. As I sat with all 5 messages, I kept asking myself why they felt so aligned. Why they kept hitting a nerve. Why they felt so personal. And then it hit me. Before this week, I thought continuing to love myself would be enough. And after this week, I remembered I am love. Love is my nature. Love is what I give, and it's love I want to receive. Not because I'm perfect. Not because I have everything figured out. I know I don't. Not because I never struggle. That's fantasy if I didn't. But because love has been present through every transformation I've experienced. Through the healing, through the recovery, through the uncertainty, through the mistakes, through the growth. Love has been there. And maybe that's why every team message resonated. Because each one reflected an expression of love, peace, greatness, trust, courage, sharing my gifts. What started as a simple cup of tea became a reminder of something I've been becoming all along. Not someone trying to find love, but someone learning to recognize that love has been within me the entire time. And perhaps that's the significant turn. Not becoming love, remembering that I already am. I appreciate you for watching this long. If this resonated with you, let me know which tea message hit you the hardest. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep watching. This has been another Significant Turn by Jenny June Sound. Start from within, my beauties.